first Barbie movie came at a strange time for animation, and for Barbie. The dolls were selling less, and the rise of digital media was unignorable. Mattel said, we need to make movies now. We need to make DVDs. It was 2001. The world was standing on the CGI precipice and looking down into the great dark unknown, not knowing yet that whatever this is was waiting on the other side. 2 years earlier, Disney had released Fantasia 2000, a glunky response to the 1940 original Fantasia that swapped out the sexy, alluring hippo ballet and the grisly gothic splendor of dinosaurs battering each other to death in the shadow of a raging storm for some flapping Doritos and an insult-coded toy soldier. The computer was our new exciting friend, and we'd already seen the most impressive CGI toy-type movie ever made 6 years earlier, which fortunately allowed Mattel to sell at least 4 different Toy Story toys to my family members specifically, because I needed the car guy, I needed Woody, I needed Buzz, obviously. It's my boy Buzz! It's my boy Buzz! It's my man, Buzz. It's Buzz. Oh my god. And I was not going to be refused a big Jessie doll that I saw in the Argos catalogue. At some point then, Mattel must have thought, what are we doing, guys? We literally have Barbie. Let's get this woman 3D modeled. Let's get her moving around. Let's get her in some kind of escapade. And so a gargantuan movie franchise began. Barbie could be in the computer now. Good for her. Barbie's first movie was about dealing with an evil mouse, loving a disabled wooden man, and dancing, 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 baby. This is Barbie in the Nutcracker. First of all, I need to state the obvious. This movie is balked. As far as movies for very young children go, there's nothing particularly horrible about this one. It has its entertaining moments, it has its joys, and it has Tim Curry, for God's sake.
Sugar Plum Princess. I've never heard of a sugar plum princess.
We are working with something here. However, it suffers from that particular brand of dullness that pervades children's movies. We open with 2 fairies flying in. They look at us, they smile like they know a naughty little secret, and they fly off through the path of the credits, dispersing the words and leaving glittering trails behind them. Now we enter Barbie's world. Barbie and her little sister Kelly are doing their ballet practice. Kelly, though, tires of ballet. She knows she can't dance.
Oh.
And she wants to go home and play Resident Evil director's cut, probably.
I'm never gonna get all these steps right, Barbie.
Barbie, though, encourages her to keep practicing, and in order to instill an inspiring message of perseverance in her, decides to tell her the story of the Nutcracker for some reason.
You've just got to find the courage to try. Like Clara.
Okay, yeah, when I don't want to do a task, I do think of this guy. I think of him cracking a big nut, and I'm soothed. The Tale of the Nutcracker is famously about a kid having a freaky Christmas dream, so I don't know why they decided to add another framing device before we get into our framing device, but I like this choice. I like this strange distancing the movie does to put Barbie oddly far away from the core of the narrative. Instead of watching Barbie, in the main story, we watch Clara, who is essentially played by Barbie. It's cerebral. Clara meets a sexy, bold, incredible woman named Drosselmeyer,
Clara,
who tells her about all the cool stuff she gets up to on a regular basis.
I hiked the Great Wall of China.
And Clara's granddad is comically disgusted by the idea of this woman having fun and telling people about it.
I'd appreciate it, Elizabeth, if you'd stop filling Clara's head with your stories.
He's like, going outside is wrong and really weird, and you were literally repulsive for doing that, to be honest. The man is not okay. We're also joined by a cruel little boy named Tommy.
You can't tell me what to do.
He's a rude little lad. And together he and his father have crafted an atmosphere of misery and punishment that the 2 women basically just completely ignore. We're not gonna think about that. We're too good for you. Clara's sexy aunt Drosselmeyer gives her the gift of a tiny little wooden man. And in the ultimate freaks relatable moment, Clara is just so delighted.
He's wonderful.
Tommy, though, is not afraid to tell the truth and dash all propriety to the ground.
He sure is ugly.
Tommy.
Uh-oh, ugly drop. One of my favorite great canonical truths in this movie is the immediate reveal that the Nutcracker is ugly. Drosselmeyer doesn't even challenge Tommy. She's just like, yeah, he's ugly.
On the outside, maybe.
Sorry I gave you my ugly Nutcracker. I didn't want to give you my sexy Chad Nutcracker though, so she's got like a lot of Nutcrackers and each one is more sexy than the last. This woman knows what she's about. In the original story, the Nutcracker is described as an ugly boy with a big head, and, you know, it's really emphasized that he's actually super weird looking. In Alexandre Dumas' 1844 retelling, he says, his head was so unreasonably gigantic that it stuck out from all the proportions indicated not only by nature, but also by the drawing masters, who know more about such things than nature. So just in the description, he's not only being described as ugly, but being fully insulted. Even the great masters of art, who probably love all of nature's nastiest parts, agree that you are hideous. It's very funny that this movie included that detail while making the Nutcracker actually completely normal looking. Like, in the realm of Nutcrackers, this guy is a hunk. And I know that people are disappointed when he changes back into a guy. I've seen posts. I see you. Anyway, it's okay that he's ugly because he has the heart of a prince.
But inside beats the heart of a prince.
Whatever that means. This excites Tommy, so he tries to wrestle the Nutcracker from Clara's hands.
Then I'll use him to command my army.
Hey!
And he snaps its arm off with the sheer force of unrepressed evil running through his veins. Clara apologizes profusely to the Nutcracker and tries to soothe him. So Drosselmeyer is probably thinking at this point, oh, I made a mistake giving this girl a cheap, ugly Nutcracker today. I've literally just created Tumblr's newest sexy man. But now it's time for Clara's granddad to come in and rattle off some kind of misogynistic screech.
A young girl needs to be responsible and practical.
Thank you, sir. Clara's sleepy now and has to rest, which of course means that the owl statue above the door is going to open its otherworldly eyes of green light and bestow a psychosexual Nutcracker-based fever dream on her. This is the true beginning, the actual entry into the world of magic and adventure. The nut is about to be cracked, my friends. So Clara now enters a nightmare, and any good nightmare needs a nasty, filthy mouse. Here enters the king of our story, a nasty mouse played by the inimitable Tim Curry. Here he is. I clap each time he says the word Nutcracker.
Nutcracker, 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 Nutcracker.
It is delicious. On receiving the gift of life and movement, the Nutcracker knows instantly that he must kill.
You traitors!
I think it adds to the movie's feeling of slightly surreal distance from the viewer that all of the voice acting is notably drab in comparison to Tim Curry's incredible performance.
You're a thorn in my side.
And a thorn to you I shall remain.
Having one impeccable performer here and 5 other people who are kind of just doing it lends the dialogue a certain uncanniness that pairs perfectly with sometimes stiff CGI.
If there are 2 things that a little girl wants to be in this world, it is A, Barbie, and B, a ballerina.
Most people now know the Nutcracker from Tchaikovsky's ballet, an already sweetened version of a version ultimately based on E.T.A. Hoffman's original story. Nutcracker und Mouse King. One thing to note about the original is that it's both funny and at times quite effectively chilling. That Mouse King we know and love, that guy has literally tons of heads here. He has 7 big freaky heads. Ugh. Barbie's Nutcracker, in comparison, offers very little in the way of emotion. Of course, this is not going to bother young children. They have enough stuff to enjoy. I mean, there are fairies in here and all that good stuff. But it's a choice I find fascinating given that little children live in insane emotional worlds where sweeping delight and imaginative wonder and all manner of wacky weird stuff is normal. Anyway, I'm a simple woman. I love a weightless CGI fight scene between a pissed off mouse and a tiny little man. It turns out that the Mouse King can do crazy magic, and he's not afraid to make women small, so he shrinks Clara down to a more convenient size when she tries to intervene. Clara's response to this is almost a, well, that happened style line.
This is not good.
Aw, jeez. Oh man, did I really just get shrinkified by a rodent? I gotta be honest though, I kinda ship the mouse and Clara.
Not so fearless now.
Let's get these 2 crazy kids together. Nutcracker straight up runs this mouse over though. Jesus Christ. The guys fight a little bit and then Clara throws a shoe at them. The mouse army carry their king away in shame, and so the Nutcracker is now safe enough to take a moment to communicate his intensely heterosexual nature.
Thank you for saving my life. And for your superior nursing skills.
Clara's like, hey, by the way, can you make me big again?
Remember? I used to be taller?
And he's like, no, actually, I'm looking for the only woman in this sick world who can undo these kinds of magical enchantments.
I'm afraid only the Sugar Plum Princess can reverse the Mouse King's spell.
Because I'm actually not even a Nutcracker.
You mean you used to be
not a nutcracker.
Boing. He doesn't elaborate there. I guess he doesn't want to dwell on the trauma right now. An owl appears and gives Clara a locket that can bring her home instantly if she opens it. Useful. And it turns out that they gotta go across the Sea of Storms. To which Clara responds, damn, that's crazy.
This is crazy.
And goes into a mysterious hole. She's so ready to go across the Sea of Storms. Couldn't be me. I would stay away from the Sea of Storms personally, but whatever. Now they come across a snow fairy who is a Barbie's little sister type doll, and who also sounds like some kind of dog toy. She's clumsy, she's rude, and she's a squeaker. We watch her dance, and you can really feel the movie at this point thinking, oh, the little girls are going to be screaming at this one. This is a glorious moment. This is what Barbie Nutcracker is all about. More snow fairies show up, and I gotta ask, why do they look nothing like the first one? These guys literally look like Na'vi. Is this Avatar? Guys, is this Avatar? What's going on in terms of species and or ethnicity in the snow fairy world? These fairies are less like characters and more like dance objects. They are only here to provide the spectacle, which I gotta say is for me the most boring aspect of the film. I wasn't thrilled and excited by the Kelly-like snow fairy, but she does have some semblance of personality where the others don't. Perhaps this scene with its glitter and its sweet moves was captivating to some little children, but I am ready to move on. I would like to see more evil mouse stuff. The fairies now slam into the wall, which reveals a goggly shining light for Clara and the nutbag to follow. Now, I don't know about you, but I would not be following the light. But the two walk happily into God's pathway to heaven and enter a lush green paradise. They cross the veil, and Clara is essentially reborn into the world of dreams and whimsy. Good for her. She's impressed by this world, and in particular notes that the snow there is not cold.
The snow isn't even cold.
This is one of my favorite details from the film because I think it's a moment of genuine pure genius. The idea of a paradise as something containing a thing you like, snow, with its negative aspect, being cold, removed, is I think such a perfect fantasy idea. You can not only have snow, but you can have snow that is comfortable to touch, snow that can't hurt you. It offers such a cool snippet of a vision of heaven as a place where there are no downsides to indulging in pleasure. Hell yeah. This is also such a pure expression of one of the original story's major themes. E.T.A. Hoffman was a critic of accepted modes of parenting and propriety in Prussian society at the time he wrote Nutcracker in 1816. Jack Zipes writes in his introduction to the 2007 Penguin Classics edition of Nutcracker and Mouse King that Hoffman wanted to express his dissatisfaction with the neatly trimmed bourgeois conventions of his time and the overly rational and disciplinary way in which children were being raised. So how did he do that? Well, the delights of unabashed indulgence in both pleasure and culture are explored through the theme of sweets. At one point, Marie, the original's version of Clara, visits Jamberg, a delicious paradise city full of tasty treats. No sooner had they walked a few paces than they reached the great marketplace, which offered the most thrilling view. The surrounding houses were shuttered by sweets, gallery was piled on gallery, and at the middle there stood a high frosted layer cake as the obelisk. All about it, 4 very artful fountains spewed orgeat, lemonade, and other superb sweet drinks aloft, and the basin filled up with cream, which could have been spooned out right away. But, and this is the crucial bit that takes us from food to culture, lovelier than anyone else were the little people. Thousands of them crowded through, head by head, exulting and laughing and joking and singing. There were elegant ladies and gentlemen, Greeks and Armenians, Jews and Tyroleans, officers and soldiers and preachers and shepherds and buffoons. In short, every kind of person to be found in the entire world. At the end of Hoffman's Nutcracker, Marie becomes the queen of this imaginative land full of diverse and endless pleasure, which is somewhat at odds with Barbie's much more restrained telling. But in this little snow moment, it's here. I reached out to Jack Zipes after reading his Penguin Classics introductory essay to ask what he thought of the significance of the sweets as a motif, and he said, any excessive pleasure of sweets that might horrify the German bourgeoisie would delight Hoffman as a motif. I think it's pretty interesting that Barbie's adaptation, a very simplistic story with the purported moral, be brave and keep trying.
If Clara hadn't been brave, She never would have.
Arguably has the more prominent moral that it's good to adventure and you should piss off your granddad because your granddad straight up needs to relax. Zipes told me, by the way, that he watched Barbie and the Nutcracker on my recommendation. Though I'm not a great admirer of Barbie and Ken products, he said, I was surprised to find that this short film has many great merits and it was a delight to watch. Okay. Let's get back to Barbie's nut. Clara is amazed by the uncold snow, but the writers also needed one or two other cool things to put in this great paradise, and so they came up with smelly trees.
The trees smell like peppermint.
That's not cool. In fact, I actually think that makes the trees worse. You could do better than that. The Nutcracker explains that Parthenia, that's the name of this wondrous land, will likely soon be destroyed by the Mouse King.
Soon it'll all be a memory if the Mouse King has his way.
Now, it seems to me that that's quite a massive, destructive event. So why does the Nutcracker deliver this line like it's a mild inconvenience at worst?
Soon it'll all be a memory.
Seems like the Mouse King's probably gonna kill everyone I know. Yeah. They traverse this stone path that looks remarkably like this one screen of Final Fantasy VII. Maybe I'll write fanfiction that adds Sephiroth to this movie. And then we get what we really need, an insufferable and hideous sidekick animal. Here enters the hateable Batgoon, right-hand man to the big mouse. He has a detestable accent.
I wish I could remember, but I'm so hungry.
And I hate him. That said, he instantly does one of my favorite things in the movie. He glomps down on this bowl of fruit like a demon. Good God, man. The Mouse King does not like him, but this bat does prove useful as he provides some intel on Clara and Nutty's plans.
They're looking for a sugar plum princess who can supposedly defeat you.
Meanwhile, Clara and the Nutcracker are making their way downtown, walking fast, faces past their homebound. They find an abandoned doll in what appears to be an empty gingerbread village, a bit like that one horrific scene from Mulan, only, as it turns out, there are some children lurking just out of shot. The children rudely throw snowballs at them, although I guess snowball fights must be way more relaxed in this world of warm, toasty, lovely snow. But this causes Nutcracker to briefly experience the terrors of war.
It's an ambush! Take cover!
And we see that the boy child is wearing the most hideous outfit known to man. It turns out that the children really hate the old prince and will jump at any chance to spit anti-prince vitriol.
This is all Prince Eric's fault.
This is because the prince apparently wasn't ready to be king back when he had the chance, and so the mouse was given the power of rule instead, leading to the tragic mouse-based tyranny that everyone currently deals with. Now, I'm not sure if I agree with the hateful children, even if I do admire their ferocious hater spirit. Is this really the prince's fault, or is it really more the fault of the big nasty mouse for deciding to keep that power permanently and use it to destroy everyone's lives? Look, I get it, man. It feels good to have a scapegoat who you can enjoy despising, but what if you focused your attention on just killing that mouse? Just getting him. Never mind, these guys just located a sexy pink female horse. Now that's a character. The gang spots some mouse soldiers and the horse immediately goes Joker mode and runs two of them down in cold blood. See? Everything's going to be much improved now that there's a sexy female horse in the picture. The remaining mice give chase, but a rope ladder is plopped down in front of our little group and they scuttle up it to safety, discovering a crowd of concerned citizens so frazzled from the political turmoil that they accuse Clara and the big nut of being some new kind of mousetrap.
Some new kind of Mouse King trap?
What possible trap could this guy even be imagining? No, I'm not a trap, sir. I'm simply a beautiful woman. Whatever though. It's time now for my favorite character who shows up for one single perfect second of the movie. It's Masha.
Masha will take care of you.
Oh, thank God. Masha's here. Masha is never mentioned again, and that's the biggest mistake that this movie makes. We also meet the movie's sexiest character, Captain Candy.
Captain Candy!
And the movie's most belligerent freak, Major Mint. This guy is the worst. Nutcracker introduces himself in the funniest way possible.
I'm Nutcracker. This is Clara. We're both victims of the Mouse King's magic.
Why does that sound so suspicious? Like, no offense, Nutcracker, but I do not believe you. The whole community starts having a Prince Eric hate session.
Prince Eric? He's the reason we're in this mess.
This is how they bond, and the Nutcracker is like, haha, yeah, okay. Okay, no problem. Wow, you really all hate this guy, huh? They tell them about the whole deal with the Sugar Plum Princess, which honestly does sound fake.
We're trying to find the only one who can defeat him, the Sugar Plum Princess.
And Major Mint resists it.
I've never heard such a ridiculous story. But is it an imaginary princess?
No, he says. That is not real, and you are weird.
I don't have time to search for some sugar pie.
But he ends up being convinced in, like, 1 second.
The king himself believed in her magic, and we've tried everything else to defeat the mouse.
Do you know where she is?
And so the whole group is on board. Back in the Mouse King's man cave featuring RGB lights and a GameCube running Kirby Air Ride just out of shot, that mouse is experimenting with his decor. Turns out, he can turn his lackeys into various objects. And he loves it. That's evil type stuff. He shouldn't be doing that. He makes a rock golem to send out on a murder quest. I guess that pillar wasn't load-bearing. No problems. Nutcracker and Clara are having a gentle heart-to-heart now. Clara has used her incredible mind to figure out the truth, that this little wooden man is actually the prince.
You're more than a nutcracker, Prince Eric.
Whoa, what? Oh my god. Clara asks him if he can't sleep, and he tells her,
I'm a nutcracker. Sleep seems kind of pointless.
What do you mean by that, Mr. Cracker? Can you sleep? Are you capable of sleep? If Nutcracker can't sleep, then I imagine he wouldn't say, I feel like sleep is pointless for me since I'm a little wooden guy. He'd probably just say something like, yeah, I don't sleep because I'm made of wood. I don't eat sleep, poo, or pee. I'm made of wood. But if he can sleep, why would whatever sleeping he can do be pointless? Is sleep for the Nutcracker perhaps possible but not actually restful? Does it exist as a capability he has, but in some way feel different, lesser than the general human experience of sleep? Or is he exclusively saying this as an expression of dismay and regret at his life, reduced as he is to his eternal woodenness? It's probably the latter, but I need more sleep lore. I need serious diagrams. I need to know how sleep works when you are a magical animated nutcracker who feels despair. The next day, Clara and the gang set out and they have to go across a weird floating bridge for some reason. I don't know why they do this. Find a normal bridge. Just go find a normal bridge. You're making choices that don't make sense to me. We don't question the floating bridge and its worrying physics though. It's a world of magic, so basically anything goes. But this old fart has to go about traversing this bridge in the noisiest way possible.
Right here, no problem at all. Come along.
Just makes weird noises the entire time. Pisses everyone off. Captain Candy straight up almost dies because of this prick's noisy ways, and he literally does not care.
Bad luck about your knapsack. Now we'll be needing more supplies.
Die, says Major Mint. Your life is meaningless to me. Is there no justice in this world? He didn't deserve that. They find a big hole in the ground, as you do, filled with trapped fairies, and so they set them free. The fairies say Clara is beautiful and sexy.
What?
They say you're beautiful.
And we enter our second fairy dance sequence. This is a special time for you and I. Let's stop to enjoy and savor this dance. Wow. Wow. The fairies restore some of the beautiful nature of their surroundings. The healing of the land can begin now that these little fairies have been busted out of jail, and Clara and her Nutcracker edge closer to each other, ready to be swept away by the sweet romance of the fairy ballet. But oops, rock guy alert. The rock giant is jagged and beefy like any good nemesis, and I like him. Something appeals to me about this man. He has these beautiful petrol tones on him, and he swings and stumbles with great might. He has a tactility that the dancing fairies lack. He is my personal rock hunk. The sexy pink female horse arrives at this moment to save the day once again, and I gotta say, without this horse, I think there would have been casualties by now. The rock giant pursues them, and Nutcracker stabs into the ice they just passed so that this big rock will fall in and die. So just as the supreme creature, the purest form of life, enters our scene, he is unceremoniously snuffed out. Rest in pebbles, my sweet boy. The Nutcracker is getting seriously anxious at this point and is worried they won't find the Sugar Plum Princess.
If this fog doesn't lift, we'll never find the princess's island.
But his murder of this rock giant has impressed Clara, and she's like, baby, I actually think you could kill the mouse. I think you could do it.
You battled the mouse army, rescued Captain Candy, and saved us from a vicious pile of rock. all without the Sugar Plum Princess.
She is ready to watch him cut a mouse's head off in front of her. She craves this. Nutcracker knows, however, that the key to becoming normal-sized again and going home for Clara remains in finding the Sugar Plum Princess. But I think she might want to stay in the world of kissing her little Nutcracker man instead.
We've got to find the princess if you're to return home your true size. That is what you want, isn't it?
Of course.
Ooh. The bat informs the Mouse King of the fate of his sweet rock son.
Nutcracker destroyed Rock.
We are all in mourning. And since the Mouse King has found no evidence of the Sugar Plum Princess's existence thus far, he deems her a conspiracy theory.
She's a fantasy.
I don't know.
She is not real. This Nutcracker's just saying stuff. Because of Nutcracker's amazing ice-stabbing move, the group nominate him as their leader.
I believe the Nutcracker has earned the right to lead us.
But Major Mint is not having this. He is, unfortunately, a wood bigot.
A stump? He's wood.
Wow, dude. This guy has literally been helping you out, saving your life, seeking out a mysterious woman to overthrow your tyrannical king this whole time, and all you can say is, ew though, he's made of wood. That is so sad. Can't we learn to respect little wooden guys? If I knew a talking wooden man, I'd treat him right. Just saying. I'd treat him correctly. Anyway, they all get trapped in a cage. Whoopsie. Except for Clara, who sits by the beach with her horse and talks to herself about how sad she is.
I should never have come. What was I thinking?
Oh, I could use my locket that's imbued with magic to go home and just accept being doll-sized forever. Okay, that's one option.
I could always go back home.
But actually, though, I think I'm not going to do that.
What am I saying? I can't leave.
I just wanted to remind the audience that I do have this locket, but I will persevere. A fairy approaches now, sounding like a door hinge in desperate need of a good greasing. And I gotta ask, why did they make her sound like this? When you think fairy, is this what you imagine? Foley artists, are you okay? Make an old-timey car horn sound real quick if you need help. The door hinge fairy presents Clara with a vine swing to sit on, fun, and this is the supreme form of transport that will take her directly across the sea and to the final boss. She plops down outside the Mouse King's castle, and it's time for her to sneak around.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a master spy right there. Meanwhile, a trio of squeaky fairies are explaining recent events to the leftover villagers. They decide immediately to rise up and form a peasant revolt to take that mouse down.
It's time we stood up to the mouse.
It's over for you, Big Mouse. Me and my 3 toddlers are gonna get you. Not sure why this couldn't have been done before, but okay, let's go, let's go, let's go kill him now, let's go kill this mouse. It'll actually be really easy. We can just stab him or something. I don't know. Let's just go. The mouse appears to be planning and plotting some kind of wood-based scheme.
All is right with the world. I've got the Nutcracker, and soon my worries will be over.
When the loyal bat lets him know that the country's entire population of approximately 7 people are currently marching over to get him.
It seems your subjects are planning an, uprising.
What?
And I love the sound you hear when the mouse grabs the bat in rage during this scene. Okay, Foley artists, I take it back. I believe now that everything is okay with you, and I'm sorry for doubting your vision. I won't ever doubt you again. I heard that. Mouse King is, at this point, frothing with rage. He's madder than a Mouse King has ever been. In the original Nutcracker story, the Mouse King has straight up 7 heads because he's essentially an eldritch physical manifestation of the scores of mice who were cruelly murdered previously by the Toy Queen for, I kid you not, eating too much bacon. Basically, the Toy King asks for some bacon-focused dish, but the Toy Queen gives the Mouse Queen some bacon, and her crowd of mouse kids and relatives get a bit too excited, and they eat, like, too much of the bacon, so then the Toy King doesn't get all the bacon he wants, and it actually makes him really sick. In the Liverwurst station, people could see that the king was turning paler and paler, gazing at the heavens. Gentle moans fled his breast. A tremendous pain seemed to be burrowing through his insides. Then, in the blood sausage station, loudly groaning and groaning, weeping and wailing, he sank back in his armchair with both hands over his face. All the diners sprang up from the table, and the royal physician tried in vain to check the royal pulse. The king seemed to be ripped apart by a profound and nameless yowling. Finally, after much coaxing, after the application of strong medicines, more than there were scorched quills and so forth, the king seemed to have recovered somewhat. He barely stammered the words, "Too little bacon." Because of this, they end up massacring the mice as punishment for eating all their bacon. The Nutcracker's straight up crazy. Here though, the Mouse King has one head only, and it's just mad and evil for no apparent reason. Which is totally fine, but it is very amusing to watch him just spend the entire movie steadily getting more mad.
Gullible idiots.
That's the only thing the Mouse King is getting up to, just getting closer and closer to bursting a blood vessel because a wooden little guy is gonna maybe take away his rule over literally 9 citizens. It's a kind of aimless villainry that I do in fact love to see, but I needed you to know about the tragic bacon plot at the center of the original. That's classic literature, baby! Clara's snooping reveals that Nutcracker and co are in the dungeon, trapped behind invisible glass. Now, this movie obviously has lots of fun magic in it, but this part always felt kind of random to me. Why are they behind an invisible wall? I don't know. It's way too cool to be mentioned for a split second and then cast aside like that. I need invisible glass lore. But whatever. They break out of there and Nut confronts the Mouse King, who lights a bonfire because that was his massive movie-ending plan. Do a fire. Okay, sure. Nutcracker's made of wood, you can burn him, it's sinister, I get it. But listen, the straight-up villainry of the mouse is really what this movie has going for it, so I wish they'd leaned in a bit harder instead of just letting him light a bonfire. It's a movie for babies though, so I appreciate the need to not go too insane. This confrontation moment is interesting because it allows Nutcracker to have a little convo and muse on his relationship to rule and what being a king means to him.
There's more to being a king than having a crown.
Is there though? I don't know. Often in kids' movies that invoke monarchy-type themes and very present across the Barbie movies as a whole is the conceptualization of being a king or queen or prince or princess as a sort of moral state. Your inner princess is like a kind and selfless person. So while a monarchy is a head of state bloodline that enjoys some semblance of divine rule over a kingdom, it's more prominently just a vibe. This is an interesting reflection of kids' imaginative play and kind of what it could mean. I remember playing some kind of queen princess roleplay thing with a friend as a child, and I have no idea what I was thinking about the concept of being a princess. Mostly I think it was just a way to be the most special little person in the world in my imagination. Like, I don't know how much I cared about being kind and sweet and brave specifically, but I definitely enjoyed the fantasy of being loved and important and unique and famous and rich. So, you know, that's what a princess is to me. But of course, a little girl's movie has to be a bit more pristine than that, a bit sweeter than that. It has to say, well, you idolize princesses because they're the utmost moral good and the perfect example of womanhood, don't you? Yeah. Also, there's a man for you who you always supported and believed in through his trials and tribulations as a low, shamed, wooden homunculus. And it's through your support of this cracked, ugly guy who everyone hates that he can become the hero of your tale. Hooray! In the real world, there isn't really much more to being a king than having a crown. The crown is the thing. But in the Barbie world, it's meaningful, it's beautiful, it's right. Mouse King turns the kids into statues now and uses his magic to become instantly big and swole. Oh my god. Big boy. He slams the Nutcracker to the ground and Clara starts telling him off.
You're nothing but a coward, hiding behind a magic wand.
The mouse is going magic crazy and tries to turn Clara into an even smaller woman.
I obviously didn't shrink you small enough. Your mouth is still much too big. But that is about to change.
But Nutcracker jumps in front of her at the last moment and uses his sword to reflect the mouse's magic right back at him. Oh no. No, now the mouse is small. Oh. With that, the mouse is defeated and he scuttles off into the sewer. Clara, in despair, holds her delicious nut's big face in her hands.
My poor Nutcracker.
She just loves her little nutcracking man so much, but that nut boy is transforming. He finally regains his true original form, that of a sexy prince.
It's Prince Eric.
The prince! Ooh.
Clara then has her own quick little magical girl transformation into a more glittery dress. Turns out, she's been the Sugar Plum Princess all along!
Of course. The princess has been with us all along.
What? That's crazy. The way she reacts to this is so disquieting and strange. That little what? So haunting. Such a tiny, odd moment. I love it. The peasants who were turned into statues 30 seconds ago become non-statues again as the mouse's enchantments are broken, and the prince is free to take his rightful position as king. As long as the people want it though. As long as they're okay with it.
And now you're free to take your rightful place as king.
Well, that's for the people to decide.
Now that life is perfect and all our problems have been solved, it's time to dance. This is going to be our final dance scene, and so it needs to be a big one. The kids tentatively begin the dance, but it's old cantankerous blowhard Major Mint and gentle soul Captain Candy that really get into it and go crazy. They're not graceful and gorgeous like Clara and Prince Eric though, so here come the royal couple to funk it on down with some serious and considered ballet. Let us watch them. So animating these dance sequences was a big deal for this movie, and I get it. They got the New York Ballet involved in the production, they mocapped them.
Ballet dancer Maria Kurowski was chosen to dance for Barbie.
They put us in the studio and we had to put on these suits, and they had all these sensors.
They really wanted to do something special and expensive for the dance portions of this movie. And it's cool. It's really cool to see that so much care and effort and attention was put into that. But with the great benefit of 20 years of hindsight, I do want to ask, why'd they do all that? It's pretty fascinating to look at animation history and see just how much pioneering animators wanted to incorporate ballet. The intricate, beautiful, challenging, and notably human movement of this particular culture of dance. They do it extensively in Fantasia. They revisit it slightly in Fantasia 2000. The first computer animation of human figures is widely considered to be A. Michael Knoll's 1965 computer ballet. What strikes me about this is the incredible atmosphere it manages to achieve with its twirling stick figures. While it can't capture the true physicality of ballet as performed by real human bodies, in contrast with Barbie, it does, I think, capture the stark, limited atmosphere of ballet that allows it to feel so large, so emotionally resonant, and at times trance-like. That limited, smooth movement mimics the slow, precise, fluid movement that makes ballet arresting and strange and abstractly representative. Knoll describes on his website how the interrelationship of the dances in Stravinsky's Les Noces inspired him to imagine computer-created stick figures that could be programmed by a choreographer. So he saw the ballet, saw the way the dancers interacted with each other, and imagined a tool that used computer-generated images for dance notation.
As he watched, Mike Knoll conceived the idea of creating a ballet with a computer, and this was the picture in his mind. As a computer expert, he was well able to translate his ideas into a computer program.
Of course, though, the really essential part of this is the computer program, which enables the individual to communicate his intentions to the computer.
It says something that not only in the developing world of hand-drawn early 21st century animation was ballet's movement in particular such a major influence, but also in the emerging technologies of the latter half of the century. What was going on? Why ballet? It was too perfect, too beautiful, too human. I reached out to Knoll and asked him, why ballet? What was it that got you about ballet? He didn't really answer my question, but he did end his response with the unprompted instruction, do not use AI, to which I can only say, yes, my lord. Computer ballet is so beautiful to me, and just like the dark, imaginative humor that I love so much in E.T.A. Hoffman's original Nutcracker and Mouse King, I love this vast, empty, spooky space populated with perfect little computer corkscrews playing ballet dancers in the same sort of way that ballet dancers play us. It's a gorgeous little stage, a cathode ray tube lit with ghostly, glowing lines of art made of numbers. And you know, there's something in Barbie's Nutcracker and its ambitious construction that is similarly incredible.
The computer replaced Maria's movements seamlessly with Barbie's, creating remarkable lifelike sequences.
Barbie and the Nutcracker is an interpretation of an interpretation of an interpretation of an interpretation. It's a corporate spectacle. It's a too empty girl standing on her tiptoes. And what's more real than that? Clara abandons the possibility of using her magic locket to go home, because she's already home, guys. Aww.
This locket was supposed to take me home, but in my heart, I feel I'm already there.
She kisses her non-Nutcracker prince, and everyone cheers. This is how life is supposed to be. But oops, the mouse is back! He rips the locket from her neck in one last moment of mad revenge, and Clara begins to fade away. Waking back up in the real world, she tries to explain her dream and how legit it is to her angry old man.
The Nutcracker was fighting the Mouse King, who shrunk me with his golden scepter.
Guys, this shit just happened to me and it was epic. But her sexy cool aunt senses that it's time now to bring in a boy. So she wheels in this little cutie, and guess what? Yeah, baby, that's the prince of your dreams, transported into the world of the awake. He kisses Clara's hand, and this guy is more disgusted than I've ever seen a person be.
Such familiarity. In my day, we would never have.
Can you relax? Eric gives Clara her locket back, and they dance again, just to really hammer in that this movie cares about dance. Oh, what's this? Oh, they're in a snow globe. Ooh. After this dance moment, we zoom out finally to our initial framing device so that Barbie can state the supposed lesson Kelly is meant to glean from hearing the great story of the Nutcracker.
So, if Clara hadn't been brave, she never would have found out she was a princess.
That's right.
Be brave, Kelly. This is inspiring. And then it's time for another dance sequence. Yes. Yes. I gotta say, I love the movie's sudden excessive commitment to showing a bunch of dance scenes back to back at the end. I'm literally bored. I'm tired of coming out of a ballet scene to enter another ballet scene. But this movie is like, no, we paid for this, you're going to sit down and watch it. And I did. And in this moment, while I watch extended scenes of a CGI 5-year-old plunking her pointes out, glumping around, I'm thinking, why? I like ballet. I think ballet is pretty and dynamic and romantic and interesting, but not like this. Not like that. Guys, have you seen Onegin? Have you seen this Frankenstein one? Have you seen Michael Pink's Dracula ballet that had a semi-viral Tumblr post because Tumblr users will do anything to see gay subtext and blood? Just checking. I don't know. Is this the Sugar Plum Fairy? Is this? So Barbie and the Nutcracker is a movie that I would describe as fundamentally okay. It's a perfectly serviceable kids movie that neither truly slays nor truly flops, but there's such a wealth of bizarre, fun moments. It's a little bit unformed and off in a lot of little ways. The characters feel barely reactive in many cases. The dance scenes go on long enough to feel kind of like a fever dream, and the bat is just...
That would be a shame. Then I couldn't tell you the juicy bit of gossip I overheard.
I'd kill him. I'd kill that bat. I'm sorry. And with that, it feels like Nutcracker was the perfect story choice for the first Barbie movie. A fairy tale that celebrates children's mad joy, a fairy tale that's nasty and creepy and funny and jubilant and goddamn stupid. A story so cut up and stitched together in adaptation after adaptation, and they went for it here. They made their beautiful, ugly, gormless, righteous Barbie movie. And I'm so glad they did. That's Barbie and the Nutcracker. Boink. Thanks for watching, nutheads. Try not to crack any of your teeth on any big nuts.